In every moment, you choose how you want to live your life and who you want to be. It is your ultimate power and your inescapable responsibility. You are the master of your reality, but it doesn't always feel that way. Too often, we believe the awful fictions of our fears, believe our misguided assumptions and our faulty logic. We misperceive success and value, misperceive our strengths and our weaknesses. We perpetuate our insecurities and our vanities. We fail to listen to each other and to our own hearts. Often, we surrender to our self-limitations. How can we take back control, creating the lives we want with awareness and accountability? That's the question we consider in this interview series, Mastering Your Reality. We'll explore the question with remarkable people who clearly have a lot to teach us on the subject. Today's guest is one such person. Dorie Clark is a marketing strategy consultant. She's widely recognized as a branding expert. Her first book, Reinventing You, was huge. It was translated into 1 million languages and very critically, very well acclaimed. Her second book, Stand Out, did just as well. She thinks about and writes about personal reinvention, recreating ourselves in the mold, in the vision of who we want to be. Dorie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Isaac, thank you. It's great to speak with you.
I'm hoping you can help us shed light on this subject of reinvention.
I'm going to try, my man. Let's do it.
I love it. So what's step one? So too many folks, I feel, in this world of ours, aren't living the lives they want at home or at work, and they recognize it, but they don't quite know what to do about it. So what's step one?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I wrote a book about this, Reinventing You. I interviewed, dozens and dozens of professionals who have successfully made the transition to the kinds of careers that they want to have. And what I learned is that fundamentally, professional reinvention is a 3-step process. The first step is getting clear on what your current brand is. Because the truth is, none of us is a blank slate. People think something about us already. And the question is, what is it? And is it what we would want it to be? That's number one. And then, very briefly, and we can get into these more, number two is creating that future vision of where we want to be, which enables us to see the gap more clearly about where we are and where we're going and create a roadmap of what we need to do. And then third and finally, it's what I call living out your brand. Because fundamentally, reinvention, it's not a one-time, one-and-done kind of thing. It's about all the little things on a day-to-day basis that you do to keep yourself fresh and to make sure that other people really understand the reality of who you are today, not in the past.
And we're talking about at work and at home in your personal life, right?
Absolutely. The principles work all across the board.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, talk to me more about. I'm fascinated by this second step, the sort of creating your vision, because that takes a lot of courage.
It does, definitely. I think one good starting point, of course, is to really look around at the people around you. And it's rare. I think sometimes we're looking for a magic bullet. We're looking for, one perfect mentor or one perfect exemplar of everything that we want to be. And it's rare that we'll find that. But something that is available to all of us is if we take a view of thinking of life as kind of more of a smorgasbord. And if instead of looking for that one perfect person or role model, we say, you know what? I'm going to think of life as more of having a mentor board of directors. Mm-hmm. And you can draw a piece from each person. Maybe you have, one friend that really seems to have it figured out in terms of his marriage, or another friend that really has got work-life balance down. Or someone seems to be traveling all the time to really exciting and exotic locations. You want to figure out, they're not a billionaire. How are they doing that? You can learn those pieces from those individuals. You can learn from the folks around you. If you treat everyone around you like a mentor, and that involves, of course, having the attitude of being willing and eager to give back to them as well. But that begins to unlock the possibilities, is when you see pieces of what you want in the way that other people are living their lives.
That's interesting. That's fascinating. I'm also interested that in speaking today and in your writing, for the Harvard Business Review, for example, you talk about it as a personal brand. So, which I get. Obviously, we all manifest our lives through relationships with others. There's an element of your brand that's personal, right? That's internal. That's what you feel about your brand.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you're drawing out an interesting distinction because, ultimately it's sometimes two separate things, right? What we think of ourselves and then what it is that the rest of the world is perceiving. And my argument is that if we really want to be successful, if we really want to live life in an authentic way where we feel good about ourselves, where we're not feeling like we have to put on some act or be something so that other people will like us, you need to try to get those two things as aligned as possible. You want to make sure that the rest of the world is perceiving you the way you'd wish to be seen. And so if there is some kind of block or some kind of gap, if for some reason people aren't really grasping your full value or your full potential, which I think has probably happened to all of us sometimes, a boss at work who just doesn't get us or whatever it is, it behooves us to really drill down and try to understand what is creating that block. What is the source of the problem? I think sometimes people get a little freaked out by the concept of personal branding because they think that maybe it's this arrogant or egotistical thing like, oh, I don't have to think about my brand. I'm not a detergent. I'm a person. People can just see me for me. But the truth is people are busy, you know what? And they're probably not going to take the time, honestly, to see you for you. They're probably going to just glance and form an instant perception, and it may or may not be right. And so because what fundamentally, in the end, in a lot of ways matters most is our reputation. That's the thing that lingers. That's how you're known in the world. It pays to take the time to actually really think about it and ask yourself, is the real me getting across to people? Because if it's not, that's going to be a barrier forever.
Yeah, to live deliberately with intention. Sometimes, though, it's my opinion. I wonder if you would agree or disagree that sometimes we do have to kind of project an external brand or play a role externally to advance certain objectives, to fit in, to be harmonious. Where it's not consistent with necessarily our core idea of who we are. To my mind, it's okay so long as we don't sort of lose ourselves in the distinction, right? So long as we remain aware of what we're doing and not kind of blur the lines between those two roles. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I think that's spot on because another misunderstanding I think sometimes in the common parlance about personal branding is that sometimes people don't want to think about it, don't want to engage with it at all because they say, oh well, I don't want to have to to do these kind of phony things or whatever. But the truth is, we are always adapting as humans to the circumstance. You're probably, if you're meeting your girlfriend or boyfriend's parents, you're probably going to be a little bit more formal, a little bit more respectful than maybe if you're just hanging out with your friends at the local pub. And that's not being fake. It's not being a different person. It's just adjusting to circumstances, and you could argue, being the best version of yourself in that circumstance or in that moment.
Sure.
A frame that I actually really like is one that was offered by Amy Cuddy, who is a Harvard Business School professor. She's very famous now for having this very popular TED Talk. But she has kind of an adjustment on the phrase that everyone's heard, "fake it till you make it." She actually says instead of saying that or thinking that, what we should kind of be calibrating for instead is the idea of fake it until you become it. Because there's a lot of circumstances where we may not be totally sure. Maybe we're launching a business or something and we've never done it before. You're not 100% sure that it's going to work, but you're never going to get the support you need unless you're acting confident, unless you're saying, you know what, we can do this. That's how you motivate a team. That's how you get investors. You show a confidence that you may not fully have in your abilities, but you are striving toward it.
Yeah.
And that's not being fake. That is aspiring to your best self, and I think that's a critical difference.
I love that, and we sometimes we're too hard on ourselves, right? You learn with practice. You can't just in everything that we do, right? It takes experience, effort, and practice, and we get better at it. So, to think you're just going to immediately wake up and live a new role for yourself is too tough an expectation to have.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Well, Dorie, you are a master of your reality. And I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. This is awesome.
Isaac, thank you. It's a treat to get to connect with you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.